The Toronto Blue Jays lose yet another game against a divisional opponent. It's now 6 out of 7 games against the AL East that they have lost. This one was against the Baltimore Orioles. And the story of the game, runners in scoring position. It's been the theme of the past 2 weeks for the Blue Jays. So we'll break that down as well as a roster move that they made on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, excuse the polo. Excuse me in the car. I'm about to play a round of golf. Got to unwind after this tough stretch by the Toronto Blue Jays. You know, something that brings me happiness because the Blue Jays haven't been doing that as of late. But I do think things are going to start to turn around. I do think they will figure it out and hit their stride. But this has been a real bad stretch of games. And something's got to change and something's got to give because they just do not look like the same team that started off the season 18-10.
Yeah, they look completely lost, and it was just a week ago that we swept the Atlanta Braves at the start of the homestand, and that seems like so far away from now. And
yeah,
very, very unfortunate. The Jays lost, and we'll touch on that a little bit today, but we didn't want to beat a dead horse and just talk about the same, things that we talked about the last two videos because we've lost a few. So we're going to get into a roster move. Before we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7,000. It would mean a lot. I know the Jays are kind of rough right now, but maybe support us if you're not going to watch many of the Jays games. But the Jays make a roster move, and this needs to change. And I'll touch on the roster move right now. We'll touch on what it could mean going forward and a couple things one main thing that needs to change, but Aaron Zoling tweeted before the game that Otto Lopez is in Toronto with the Jays. He's on the taxi squad for now. Could be activated prior to today's game if the club places Espinal on the IL, and he left with right hamstring discomfort. Now, I do want to preface this by saying, of course, it's the taxi squad, but it seems like Santiago Espinal is going to be okay and that he'll avoid an IL stint. But putting that aside, Peter, Otto Lopez is on the taxi squad, which is a good roster move, but I think it's time that he replaces Cavan Biggio. I think that time is way gone. And at the very least, Nathan Lucas had his first start today and did very, very well, but I think it's time Otto Lopez is on the team and at least give him a shot.
Yeah, well, I think Nathan Lucas looked pretty good today, and I'd give him another start. Maybe not tomorrow, but definitely in the near future because he earned another one and he looked pretty comfortable up there in the box. Had a couple of good at bats, got his first major league hit, so shout out to him. But Nick, we got to be careful what we wish for, man, because Otto Lopez has a sub 500 OPS in AAA right now, and he's not exactly tearing the cover off the ball. When your OPS looks like a good on base percentage, there's a problem, and I think that's the problem right now with Otto Lopez. Although I still think he is a better option than Cavan Biggio. He's just as versatile. He can play shortstop as well. I don't know if he's quite ready, and I don't know if the Jays want to rush him up to the major leagues and have him play very sporadically because he is one of your top prospects and you do want him to develop and be a contributor down the line and not just for this year. So I'd tread on the side of caution when it comes to bringing up Otto Lopez, but not many people are worse options right now than Cavan Biggio.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me who you bring up. Just get Biggio off the team. That experience done. He had a couple more blunders today. He did have a walk, but another guy to mention is Ernie Clement, who has actually been tearing the cover off the ball in AAA. I think he has like a 320 plus average and a really good OPS in the 800s, I believe. So maybe give him a chance or give
He got hurt today.
Okay,
he got hurt today. Things go from bad to worse for the Blue Jays. He left with a hamstring injury today in Buffalo.
Yeah, well, the point is give someone else a chance. Biggio, I'm over with him. I'm done with him, and I don't care who it is at this point. Even Bradley Zimmer, I feel like would be a better option, even though he got signed. But again, Otto Lopez is on the taxi squad, which could be interesting going forward. Maybe he gets a spot start in Tampa and they change something up because John Schneider, changed something up today with Nathan Lucas, and I mean it paid off from a direct standpoint, but not obviously the team standpoint. As we'll touch on it now, the Jays lose a heartbreaker, and we'll just touch on this for 3 or 4 minutes. We don't have different sections for you because I don't think many Jays fans, including us, really want to be talking about this game right now because what a mess of a game. They lose in extras 8-3. They got walloped. Jimmy Garcia got walloped. He continues to have a very bad season. And Peter, I'll pop up the box score here now. Let's touch on the main positive of this game first before I get into the hitters here. And it's Kevin Gausman. He went 8 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, and he pitched, I believe, 115 pitches. And we'll just touch on this now because this was the main positive that we're going to be discussing. And he absolutely dominated. He's been the bright spot of this whole season. He's battled every single start, and he had another great start against a very, very good Baltimore Orioles team with the second best record in baseball. He killed it. even in a game where his, splitter may not have been working as well as he wanted, giving up 2 walks and only getting 4 strikeouts. But him and Nate Pearson were the highlights of today's game. And shout out to Nate Pearson. I'm sure he's going to get some more leverage situations in the future. We're going to ignore that Jimmy Garcia because what a horrible, horrible outing for him. But Peter, do you want to quickly touch on Kevin Gausman before we touch on the pitchers and wrap up this atrocious game for the Jays?
Yeah, Kevin Gausman has been the best player on this Blue Jay team all season long, bar none. He's just been an unbelievable player and just such a good leader on this team. Gives them a chance every time he's out there on that mound. And Kevin Gausman, I mean, just shout out to him. The guy's a stud. He didn't have his best stuff today. Goes out there and throws 116 pitches, gets through 8 innings. Absolute warrior. And I just wish the rest of the team could take his lead. And Jimmy Garcia, I'm going to give him a pass because he's pitched 4 out of the last 5 games, and he's absolutely gassed. Everyone in that bullpen is so tired. And, man, when one thing is not going right for this team, everything is just down the drain, and everything seems to be looking bleak. Now, I do think they're going to turn it around. There's still a few games over 500, and if we remember from last year, the Jays were 1 game over 500 after May. So things do get better, and hopefully the Jays can turn it around here because it's been a very tough watch, but I'm not losing hope. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to either because it had a couple of fun moments, like Yusei Kikuchi going into was supposed to pinch run,
Right.
but ultimately blew it up. But yeah, like you said, shout out to him. When it rains, it pours for this team, especially on the offensive end. And horrible game for the pitchers. And we'll quickly touch on the hitters here now before we wrap it up. And really, the hitters, they were poor. George Springer had an okay game. Kevin Kiermaier did his job, and there's not even too much to talk about on the offensive side, but one more thing I will quickly touch on before we get into that is, Peter, what were your thoughts on the Kevin Kiermaier catch there and what he's brought to the team? Because I don't want to harp on the offense too bad about how bad they've been. Let's try to stay positive before we wrap it up. And, the key positive this game was Kevin Kiermaier.
This guy is also everything that the Jays could have hoped for and more. I mean, I know he had that little miscue in center field, but that's the only mistake that I've seen him make all season long. And this guy is just an absolute just stud out there in center field. He makes all the plays that you want him to make. He makes the spectacular plays look so easy, so effortless. And I'll say it again, he's the best defensive center fielder that I've seen play for this team. And I'm not backing down from that statement. He's that good out there. And it just must be such a calming guy to have on your team as a pitcher. You know that every time it's hit to center field, he's good to make that catch. And shout out to Kevin Kiermaier. He keeps elevating his play. He's having the best season of his career at 33 years of age. And if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm signing him to a 2-year extension tomorrow.
Yeah, and even after his little blunder, he still managed to, keep his head in the shoulders, tell Whit Merrifield that it was his bad, and move on. Another quick shout out to Bo Bichette. He had 3 hits, 3 singles, but I don't know. I don't want to touch on the hitters too much because they ultimately did not have a very good day, and Vladdy's scuffling. Everyone's scuffling, so we'll just let it be. But hopefully, we play in the Trop tomorrow, which usually things don't get any better with Chris Bassett on the hill. He has been our hidden gem of the season, so hopefully he does well. And Peter, hopefully the Jays get a win tomorrow. But we'll be there for a post game video and potentially a news video as well. So we'll see you then.
Thanks.